I am more and more convinced that the only skill that matters right now, whether you're in crypto or not, is how to prompt AI. This is going to change everything, including Cardano. Ready? Let's go. Today, we are going to discuss a 100% AI coded Cardano video game and how disturbingly easy it was to make, an end to the debt ceiling debate, some foreboding news if you like third-party custodians, and huge volume on Cardano. If you find it highly inappropriate that this modern Black Hawk helicopter is attacking these World War II era prop planes, or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please consider delegating to the Army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. When I woke up this morning, I wasn't thinking to myself, hey, how about I code 223 lines of JavaScript and make a Cardano video game? The reason I wasn't thinking about that is because I don't know anything about JavaScript. I know zero JavaScript. My ability to code anything at all in JavaScript is zero. Once upon a time, 6 years ago, back in 2017, I took part of the Khan Academy JavaScript course, and I made one very tiny program. This morning, I couldn't remember a single thing about JavaScript. I could remember how to spell JavaScript. That was it. That was the extent of my recollection of JavaScript. But it turned out it didn't matter at all because GPT-4 knows everything, including how to code almost anything in any programming language. I guess that's not entirely true because a lot of developers are currently spending a lot of time telling us all how GPT-4 is a mediocre coder. It's a mediocre developer. The code it writes is fairly mediocre. And that may be true for some higher level development work, I guess. But man, I didn't know how to do any JavaScript this morning. I just asked GPT-4 to make a video game based on a few ideas I had. These weren't coding ideas. They were very rough ideas like, put this asset over here, put this thing over here, have this thing move that way. Literally, those are the kind of things I was telling GPT-4, and it made an entire video game. All I had to do was take the links to the assets I'd created in Midjourney, also an AI platform, and just sort of plug them into this code written by GPT-4, and it created an actual video game. I'm not saying it's the best video game in the world. I'm not even saying this video game would be fun for more than about 20 seconds, but it is a video game. And I had no idea this morning that I was capable of creating any kind of video game. And it's also a Cardano themed video game. So if you'd like to play this game, there will be a link in the description box below. You can actually play the game if you go to that link. But I'll show you what the game looks like right now.
Let's go.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan. Your own hands can land your own brand and down.
So like I said, that is not a groundbreaking video game. No game studios are going to come knocking down my door. But the important thing is I made that in a couple of hours with zero coding ability, zero game development experience, zero experience of any kind that should apply to making a game. And I know. I'm sure somebody's going to tell me that they made a similar game 30 years ago, long before the use of GPT-4. I know. But 6 months ago, there's no way I could have made that, let alone in a couple of hours. And the scary part is I really could have made it in 5 minutes because this was my initial prompt right here. Just this text right here was the initial prompt. And here's what GPT-4 kicked out. GPT-4 told me that this was skeleton code, but it was only skeleton code in the sense that I needed to plug in the assets. I needed to go grab the links from Midjourney and plug them in right here. But the rest of the code was fine. The rest of the code was all right here. This part, took GPT-4 maybe 60 seconds to produce this code. Maybe it took me, several minutes to write this out, but there's nothing technical in here. I'm just saying like the player helicopter should be able to shoot down the enemy aircraft, things like that. GPT-4 turned it into this. This is the kind of revolution we're going to see, not just in, the making of simple JavaScript games, but in everything. Every single thing that can be done on a computer can be done more quickly, more efficiently with AI. That includes probably everything in crypto, everything that gets made in crypto, everything in almost every service industry, that has like sort of a digital output. If it's something that, could have been done on paper back in the old days, all those things are now going to be easier and more efficient with the use of AI. It's going to change the production of everything in crypto, all crypto projects. Now, instead of an entire team slaving away trying to build out some kind of crypto project, you might see one person alone using AI as its coder, one person with little to no coding skill suddenly turning out, you know, amounts of code that could have taken a team of coders, a couple of months. Some person alone with just GPT-4 might be turning that out in like a short amount of time. And I know everybody keeps pointing out the pitfalls of AI coding and how AI is just a mediocre beginner coder or whatever it is at this point. But man, public access to ChatGPT has been around for what, 7 months now? We're 7 months into this thing. This is only GPT-4. What does this look like we're on GPT-6? I think the number of human coders maybe only goes down from here. I think the future of that industry and almost every other industry where people are, providing a service that results in some kind of digital output, I think all of that is going to change. There's going to be a lot of painful dislocation, a lot of loss of jobs, all those kinds of things. But of course, new jobs will be created. All of a sudden, if one developer could do what, 10 could previously do, I'm sure the advent of AI will also create some other kinds of new jobs for those other 9 people. But this is not one of those small revolutions. This is not like another proof of stake coin coming on the scene. This is one of those really big revolutions, like the advent of the internet. Or probably it's even bigger than that. It's probably more like the industrial revolution. While I'm over here thinking about how we as a Cardano community, we should all be leaning as hard as possible into writing prompts for AI so that we can get ahead of the ball, everybody in Washington today was just letting out a collective sigh of relief because inevitably, as predicted by everyone, they finally reached a deal on the debt ceiling. So if you want to read about the exact details of the proposed deal, and it still has to be passed by Congress and then signed by Biden, but it looks like it's kind of a done deal. If you want to read all the details, there are a million articles, including the one in the Reddit companion thread to this video, which is also linked down in the description box. You can find a link to this article, which will give you some details. One of the more interesting things is that they've included an extension until January 2025 of the debt limit. That means all the rest of us should be feeling some relief too, because we won't have to hear about the debt ceiling until after the next elections. So we'll get through this election cycle and we won't have to hear anything about the debt ceiling, or at least no active negotiation of the debt ceiling. And then in January 2025, this will all start all over again. Do you remember last week? You remember last week when everybody got really upset because they found out that the Ledger Recover functionality was going to involve 3 shards of your seed phrase being sent to trusted third-party custodians who could potentially be subpoenaed by government actors. Everybody got pretty upset about that, and some people sort of just, brushed that off, said that there wasn't really anything to worry about. It turns out the U.S. Department of Justice is already subpoenaing parties just like those third-party custodians that Ledger wants to send the shards to. The Python package index got 3 subpoenas from the US DOJ in March and April. The Python package index blog said that the DOJ was after 5 users, or at least information related to 5 usernames. The kinds of information they were after included things like names, addresses, connection records, records of session times, length of service, telephone numbers, means and source of payment, records of all Python package index packages, and IP download logs. The DOJ was more than happy to go to subpoena the Python package index, and these guys aren't even in the financial sector. Can you imagine how happy they'll be to go ahead and subpoena anybody who's holding seed phrases or shards that could be used to reconstruct seed phrases for people that the DOJ are interested in? Finally, we've been seeing a tremendous amount of volume on Cardano. And while not everybody's happy that a certain amount of this volume is related to meme coins, we have been waiting a very long time to see this level of activity. Cardano Well had this to say: all the experts on here have been telling us for years TVL is linked to price. Now TVL has spiked nearly 3x in half a year while ADA has remained unchanged. Long story short, my body is ready. I hope you had a great weekend, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.